Hi everyone, David Aragona and Craig Milkowski here, taking a look at the feature race on Saturday at Belmont at the Big A, going as race 3 pretty early in that 11 race card. It is the grade 3 Athenia Stakes, going the 9 furlong distance, a mile and an eighth on the turf course at Aqueduct. This one begins from that dog leg coming out of the home stretch as they have that long run to the first turn. Craig, just a 5-horse field signed on for the turf in this race. There is one MTO. We're likely to have a pretty significant favorite in the number 5 California Queen as we throw up the field for this race. I listed her at 6-5 on the morning line. She is, of course, going out for the powerful Chad Brown stable. He has 2 in here.
I think this race is a bit more interesting than that morning line. Not that I disagree with your morning line. I think it's probably spot on, but I don't think this is as easy as a spot as it looks, and a lot of people are going to bet. I think California Queen is going to have a little more trouble than that. I think there are some with a chance in here to beat her.
You do see that number 6 WW Fitzy listed at 1-5 on the morning line. She is the only MTO entrant in this race, so she'll only participate if this race comes off the turf, and might be the only one doing so because there's not a whole lot of dirt form among those entered for the grass in this race. Speaking of California Queen, let's take a look at her positioning on the Timeform US pace projector. While she is a horse that has been forward at times in the past, she really does not have that much early speed. But Craig, I'm going to be interested to see who ends up as the leader in this race, because the number 1, 2, and 4 are all shown forward on the pace projector. They do all have some tactical speed, but none of them are confirmed front runners.
I would agree. I think it's a little bit tricky. I'm not sure any of these horses really want to be on the front end. If I had to guess, I would say the pace projector probably has it correct with Tass up front. But the one thing I'm pretty sure of is it's not going to be a quick pace. I would be very surprised if one developed. And I think that could pose a little bit of trouble for the 2 Chad Brown runners in here, are both shown towards the back.
Well, let's dive into some of the contenders, beginning with Chad's morning line favorite, the number 5 California Queen. We'll take a look at her when she last ran at Woodbine, going all the way back to October of 2021, nearly a year ago. This was in the 10 furlong grade 1 EP Taylor Stakes at Woodbine, a little bit farther than today's distance. But Craig, this was her when she was probably in the best form of last year towards the end of the season. Kind of unexpectedly found herself on the lead this day and got run down by a couple of fairly talented Christophe Clement runners.
I would agree. I'm not sure what to make of that race. Obviously, it was at Woodbine. It was over a yielding turf course, and it was truly yielding. We have it rated just a 5 on the Timeform US scale, but she's a horse I would have to think has been a little bit of a disappointment. She's only won 1 of 5 races since moving to North America. That one win came in an allowance race. She was favored in that grade 1 EP Taylor, and I kind of put air quotes around that grade 1 because that was not a very strong race. I think it was more like the grade 3 we see today.
Yeah, she certainly is not among the best fillies and mares on the turf in Chad Brown's stable, and I think that's indicative by the placement that the types of races he ran her in last year. And coming off the layoff, he's not selecting the toughest spot for her, but this has not come up as the toughest grade 3 event. So maybe she's just finding the right kind of field to return off the layoff. But like you were saying, Craig, she's been a bit of a disappointment. It's not like her speed figures tower over this field, and she needed to start off the layoff when she first came to this country last year. So I'm not that convinced that she's going to be ready to fire her best shot coming back off the 11-month freshening. Let's take a look at one of her main rivals. That is the other Chad Brown trainee, the number 3 Love and Thunder, and we'll check out her last race when she was 3rd in the De La Rose up at Saratoga. This race was just going a mile, and Craig, when I watch Love and Thunder's races, I've always gotten the impression that a mile is the absolute max for her. I'm a little bit concerned about her stretching out to the mile and an eighth here.
I am as well, and I'm also concerned about the pace scenario. She's shown at the very back of the field in a race without a lot of pace. It's something she ran in last to at that 1 mile race at Saratoga, where there was just no pace, all the fractions coded in blue in Timeform US, and she just wasn't able to make much of a dent late behind our Flash Drive and Plum Ali. And I fear the extra distance, as you say, I don't really think it's going to help her. And in addition to the pace, just not as high on her as I would otherwise be if it was a shorter race.
You might have noticed in that replay, she had to alter course a little bit in upper stretch. She kind of ran into some traffic on the rail. Irad Ortiz had to angle her into the 3-path to make her run. Arguably, she could have attained a slightly higher placing if she had been able to get into the clear a bit earlier. She did close into a slow pace that day, but I'm a little bit concerned about whether her late kick is going to be quite as effective over this longer distance, and she does have to improve a little bit to beat her stablemate, including some others in here. The number 1 In a Hurry is a horse that could be forwardly placed in this spot. Let's take a look at her last race at Pimlico when she actually did go to the lead for the first time. And Craig, she got away with some pretty tepid fractions this day as she basically lulled them to sleep on the front end.
Yeah, tepid is being a bit kind, to be honest. Her opening quarter mile pace figure was just a 58 in this race, 69 to the half mile. So this is one of those races in time form at US. We gave a big pace upgrade. The raw final speed figure was only an 88, but I think that's pretty much meaningless in here. The race wound up being rated for her a 113, which is in line what she saw, but it's a little bit below what we've seen from Love and Thunder and California Queen, but I don't want to totally dismiss her because I do think she's going to get a head start on the others.
Yeah, she's run some bigger speed figures in the past. Recently, she's kind of been topping out at that 110 to 113 time form US range. She was lucky to win that race last time because it's arguable some others in behind might have run a little bit better, but it's a feather in her cap that she has that versatility where she can make use of her tactical speed, and I think Dylan Davis would be wise to try to get some forward position once again from her rail draw in this spot. Craig, I don't think either of us are completely bowled away by the 3 short prices in this race, so I did want to take a look at some of the bigger prices as well. The number 2, Evie Jets, I think is a horse that you can certainly make a case for. She hasn't had the stakes experience of some others in here, but she's coming in with speed figures that are comparable to those that Love and Thunder and In a Hurry have been running, and she just seems like she's been steadily taking a step forward ever since coming back for her 4-year-old season for Merck Cantor Mossy, and she's going to be a square price in this race.
She is. She'll probably be the next to longest shot in the field, and I like how she ran last time. As you mentioned, she's been slowly improving her speed figures. She still is just a 4-year-old. The others we talked about, I think, are all 5-year-olds, so she probably has a little more room to grow, and I think she's got a shot in here. I do like her versatility. She has been run on the lead before. She's run close up, and then last time she was pretty far back in a race that wasn't very quick to the 3/4, so maybe not the best of trips last time, and I do give her a shot against this field.
Yeah, I'm not going to be surprised when the instructions to Eric Cancel are to send her to the lead because, like you said, she, of all the horses in this race, has arguably been most successful when she's used those front-running tactics. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them get a little bit aggressive with her. She was beaten by a pretty good horse at Messidor last time, didn't have a big excuse that day, but I thought she ran well and has just been in great form, really hasn't put forth a bad effort ever since that seasonal debut back in May when she arguably had some trouble steadying along the rail. So I think Evie Jets could outrun her odds in this Athenia. And then the biggest price on the board is likely to be the number 4 Tass. She's another one that has some tactical speed, but Craig, she'd really have to step it up from a speed figure standpoint.
She would. Her speed figures are much below everybody else in the field. I would think her only chance is to just go to the front, set a slow pace, not even a good pace. And normally I like for front runners to go out, set a fast pace, but she's not really a true front runner. So I would be surprised if they don't try to use aggressive tactics early. I think that's her only shot against a field like this, but it is NYRA racing, so you really never know with the pace, but she's one I would not be using.
Well, let's throw up our picks for this grade 3 Athenia. Both of us taking shots against that likely favorite from the Chad Brown stable, California Queen. Greg, you're going with the number 1 In a Hurry, and you're probably thinking something similar to me. You're hoping that your selection tries to go forward from the starting gate.
I am, and I have no problem with your selection either. It's a race I'll be watching the tote, see what happens. When I made my picks, I actually didn't have the morning line, and I'll be honest, I might have reversed that 1 in 5 or 1 in 2 horse in my selections, but I'll stick with In a Hurry because I do think she has good tactical speed. I think she's going to be on the lead from that inside draw and be tough to run down.
Yeah, and I went for the bigger price on the number 2 Evie Jets. It's not that I think that she has to be on the lead to be successful. She just has that good tactical speed where I don't think that she's going to be overly compromised by the pace. And it's a class test for her as she makes her stakes debut here. But this barn, American Cantermasi, just doesn't typically take a lot of money on the turf. So I think she is going to be a fair price in this race. And her recent form has just been rock solid. So both Craig and I taking some small shots against the likely favorite of California Queen with the number 1 In a Hurry and the number 2 Evie Jets for me in the grade 3 Athenia on Saturday at Belmont at the Big A. Good luck if you're playing the races this weekend.